Hi everyone, it's Courtney and welcome to Pretty Blonde Banter mini podcast. One thing that I want to start doing in my podcast is having people come on, have some guests, and I was thinking the past couple days, what could I do for topics? So I came up with a few things, but I also came up with a 10 question little bit that I could ask my guests to get to know my guests that kind of touch on love and dating, but also some personal, getting to know you sort of things. Maybe a spicy question. I'm going to try and keep it, not too crazy because this is like my first run. I figured if I'm wanting to ask you guys these questions, I should probably have to answer them myself, right? So that's what we're doing today. We're going to go through the questions that I made up last night and that I want to ask my guest. So I guess I'm going to be my first guest. So grab yourself a snack, grab something to drink, and come hang out with me for a little bit. All right, so these are just 10 questions. They are kind of geared to the fellas, so I might have to modify some of the questions a little bit to kind of fit me as a woman, but it's all good. So let's get started. How old are you, and what is your relationship status? I am 38, and I am a single little Pringle. What did love look like in your house growing up? This one is a good one, I think, because how you see love as a kid is very telling of how things are going to go for you in the future. For those of you who have heard my podcast, and heard about my dad, you know that my parents got divorced very young and their marriage was not that great. Thankfully, I don't remember any of that. I basically remember when my mom got married to my first stepfather, and at first it was love. I could tell that they loved each other. My stepdad was an alcoholic, and he was also very violent. And the more that their marriage progressed, the more these tendencies came out. I remember watching my mom be pinned up and choked against the wall of their bedroom. I remember my mom standing somewhere in the bedroom and my stepdad going to hit her, missing and punching like a hole through the wall. I remember him yelling at her and screaming at her. So my first bit of love was not that good. With my aunt and uncle, who I was closest to growing up, my aunt was very promiscuous and she cheated on my uncle basically every chance she got. I mean, it was very disgusting. My uncle was a very loving man, very kind man, and he adored her. And it took a lot for them to finally split up. And then my grandparents, again, the ones I was closest to, they had a 30-year age gap almost. And I grew up seeing their relationship as my grandmother being very spoiled, being the center of attention, being the apple of his eye, and she just kind of used him. Back when they first got together, she was in her very early 20s and he was in his mid 50s. So, he was, bagging the hot young chick, and he kind of had the clout then, but then, it all became about her and what she wanted, and it was very narcissistic. So there was a lot of cheating there and just being very disgusting. Stories for another podcast. But I didn't have the greatest show of love growing up. I never saw, my mom being treated right. I never saw her happy. I always saw her struggling. I saw her being, I don't want to say a victim, but she was domestic violence. I'm just going to say that she was a victim of domestic violence a lot. And with the other relationships that I was around, they just weren't healthy relationships. So I never really got to see a loving relationship. I would see it when I go over in my friend's house and stuff, which was great, but I never grew up around healthy relationships. What does a perfect relationship look like to you? I don't think that there is a perfect relationship. I think you can get close, but it'll never be perfect. In my opinion, a quote unquote perfect relationship is one where two people love each other to no end, a relationship where you trust each other with your lives, where you can communicate openly about anything and everything, where you can just be yourself and not worry about the other person judging you, taking advantage of you, or using anything against you. And someone that you can just come home to every day. And when you look at them, it just warms your heart. It makes you smile. It makes you feel like you're home. That is my perfect relationship. What's your green flag? The thing that makes you instantly like someone. Mine is humor. If you can make me laugh, that's key because I like laughter. It's the best medicine for anything, and I need somebody in my life that, when I'm having a rough day or a sad day or something, he can just do something to make me laugh. That's golden. That means everything to me. Uh, that's 100%. Also, of course, loyalty. Someone who is very much a protector, provider. That to me is also like a super green flag, because it shows a lot about the man's character and who he is. That's huge. So I think those are like the main things for me. Those are my green flag racing. Let's go. That's my yes. The next question I kind of geared towards the men, but it does have aspects that apply to a woman too. So I'm going to answer this from a woman's POV. What does providing mean to you? So for me, if I'm thinking about a man providing, it goes beyond, providing financially for the family. Um, to me, it means providing that protection, that security, that stoicness. Is that even a word? Um, Providing stability, providing comfort. And I don't mean like, again, I don't mean financially comfort. I mean like just comfort to my soul. I'm getting kind of deep there. But to me, those are the key things for a good provider. Because for me as a woman, if I have a man that's providing the way that a man is supposed to provide, for me, providing it comes down to, it's taking care of our household, taking care of our home. It's providing comfort to him. When he comes home to a place where he can just unwind and relax and not have any stress at all. It's just his safe place. Having a home that is well taken care of for him, and meals ready when he walks through the door. Dinner is just coming off the stove for him. and the family. It's doing the littlest things for him to make his life easier and better. It's providing that nurturing side of myself, listening to him, listening to how his day was and what he went through and what he's going through. Just being the caretaker at home for him, wrapping my arms around him and just letting him melt into me. That is what I provide as a woman, as a girlfriend, as a wife, as a mother. That's very much the role that I enjoy. Do you feel like dating apps have made men more or less confident? So, if I'm speaking about men, I think in my POV, it has, it's done both. I see a lot of men, because I get it daily, a lot of men will just reach out and either want like hookups or, the first text that they send you is asking you out on a date. And it's like, I don't know you, sir. Like, I think it's given them the ability to not put any effort into getting to know a woman before you take those next steps. In this digital age, that has really ruined how things should go. It's made things a lot easier, for sure, if you want to connect with people, of course. But you lose that getting to know the person a little bit before you decide, hey, I'm going to ask this person out because we seem to vibe a little bit. Now it's very much, oh, I see a picture of this person. I think they're good looking. Hey, I'm going to ask you out on a date without even introducing myself. I'm not even going to tell you my fucking name. I'm just going to, hey, you want to go out sometime? I think it's made men more confident in that sense, but it's also made them less involved, I guess is the word I'm looking for. There's no lead up. There's nothing. It's just an instant boom, instant gratification sort of thing. So yeah, I tried Facebook dating, and that was different. Otherwise than that, I've never really been on a dating site, so I'm not super familiar with it. From a girl's end, from a woman's perspective, um, I think dating apps have made women a bit more less interested in dating. And I'm kind of speaking from experience because you are getting those men that it's just, they don't care about your personality. They don't care about getting to know you. It's just an instant, hey, if you're hot, hey, let's meet up tomorrow and let's go bang. Or, I'm not even going to introduce myself. I'm not going to get to know you, but hey, let's go out. It's just very like, ick. Ugh, just not a fan. So yeah, I don't know. I think dating apps had potential, but they just went south. They missed the assignment, basically. What's the biggest lesson a past relationship taught you about yourself? I haven't had too many, meaningful relationships. I haven't really had many long-term relationships, but the ones that I have, they have taught me that I am resilient, that I can overcome a lot of things. Even though in the moment I might not feel like I'm resilient in overcoming things, when I look back, I have. And I've been very tested in relationships, in seeing how much I could handle. And I've handled a lot. I think I've come out on the other side pretty damn good. You know, things could have turned and gone a very different direction, but I have picked myself up. I have cried my eyes out many times, but picked myself up and continued on. Um, I think that is my biggest takeaway from my past relationships. And even though I struggle very hard when it comes to new developing relationships, I don't give up. And some people who have experienced what I have, they would. So that's kind of like a good feeling for me, is that I haven't given up on love. What is a romantic gesture that actually means something to you? I am very much about like the old school chivalry sort of actions. I am a sucker for if a guy would give me his jacket if it's cold, or if he, walks me to my door and would give me a kiss on the hand or something. If we're in the car and we're getting out, if he opens the car door for me, things like that. Just the old school chivalrous things. They are just an instant, like, wow. They'll really make me just look at you in a whole different light if you are a gentleman and old school, because I find that to be a dying art, a dying thing. So to me, it's always great to see that, because it means that this man, he was either raised well or he learned well, and it impresses me very much. All right, let's get a little spicy. What are three of your biggest turn-ons? Oh, I'm asking myself some really good questions. All right, three of my biggest turn-ons. I I get turned on physically by a man's hands. Um, I There's just something about a guy's hands that are so incredibly sexy to me, especially if they're not like girly hands, but if they're like man hands and they're just kind of like rugged, and I don't even care if they're like a little dirty or something, but just rugged man hands that are, bigger than mine, which is easy because I actually have small hands. So it's just an ultimate turn on, and I don't know. Jeez, I'm getting all red over here. But yeah, a man's hands, that's one of them. The next one is mm, probably a guy's laugh. I have a thing for guys that have like a unique but really good laugh. And it's comforting to me. I don't know. I love hearing a guy laugh because it just puts me in just this state of relaxation almost. Like I get comfort hearing them be excited or thinking something's funny or things like that. I adore that. And then my last and biggest turn on, which is going to be no surprise, I like a guy who is dominant, who is confident, who's a leader, who just sweeps me off my feet, who lets me be in my feminine energy and headspace, and yeah, just does everything that a dominant man would. That's instant, like, hello lady boner. I mean, it just, oh, I love it when I see it like out in the wild, and I always get envious of those girls that have that. But yeah, that's probably my biggest one. Aside from the hands. The hands are right up there. I mean, I'm sorry guys, but if you have girly hands, it's just not gonna work for me. All right, finally, can you tell me something super random about yourself? Um, Something super random. So, when I was a little girl in I don't even think I was in kindergarten yet. I think I was in preschool. The teachers got in touch with my parents and told my mom that they wanted to put me with the bad kids in the classroom because I had this way about me that I could calm these bad kids down just by being next to them or talking with them or playing with them. And then this transferred to being in school. They always wanted to have me be with kids that were having behavioral issues, or maybe they had issues at home and they were struggling in their schoolwork or something. I was asked to be paired up with these kids. And then moving on to high school, I I was taking a law class, and part of this law class, we had to do something with the local county jail, and the teacher picked me to go with him and another student to the jail and to be with some of the prisoners. And he picked me because he said that I had this calming aura about myself, and that he knew that these inmates would feel comfortable having me around, and that I could just make the whole experience not only educational but also just lighthearted and be understanding and non-judgmental. So I have this way about myself, I guess, that I don't see, but everybody tells me this. Um, and I'm actually starting to hear it on this podcast. I have a lot of people telling me that they find my voice to be very calming and that they could just listen to me talk about anything and they'd be soothed. So I don't know. I guess that's just my random superhero talent that I have. So this is actually fun. I really can't wait to have people here on the podcast so that I can ask them these questions. Um, so stay tuned. These will be coming very soon. I'm going to do like a little trial run because, I'm not a technology girl and I don't have fancy equipment or anything. So I'm trying to do this the best that I can. So just bear with me. It's going to be coming soon. I'll figure out this whole setup very soon. If you do want to be on my podcast in the future, leave a comment down below and I will get in touch with you the best way that I can. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening and all of your support. If you could do me a favor and subscribe to my channel, that'd be amazing. Hit the like button, the little thumbs up. That would be, ow, that was my finger that popped, like snapped. Ow, I'm getting old, jeez. Anyways, subscribe, like it, share it, comment on my videos. I'll get in touch with you, I promise. And yeah, we're gonna leave it here. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful afternoon, have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.